welcome to this read and watch video on Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights, which is a sort of a PS to my ranking video on Wuthering Heights. So thank you to the person who told me I missed one when trying to rank all the complete adaptations, and for putting it more politely than that. But first I shall try to talk about my relationship with the book as best I can remember it. I started getting into the Brontes when I was 12, 13. The first thing that happened was that my mum watched, and so did I, the 1997 TV movie with Samantha Morton when it was new, of Jane Eyre, and in 1998 the TV movie of Wuthering Heights with Robert Kavanagh and Orla Brady. And I was drawn in, and I read Jane Eyre shortly afterwards. And shortly after that I managed to read The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. Those are by Charlotte and Anne Bronte respectively, of course, and I did find them both rather a slog. And I seem to remember I tried Wuthering Heights, but I couldn't get into it at that age. It's possible I thought it was taking too long to get to the story that I'd seen in this TV movie, and also the 1992 theatrical film when it came on TV one afternoon when I was off school sick. And I saw a couple of Jane Eyre films that way as well when I was getting into it. But anyway, I didn't really start getting into the novel Wuthering Heights until I was doing my degree, and it was a set text, and I had a lecture and seminar on it, and I must have learned a few things. I remember the lecturer leaning quite heavily into the gender stuff, the laws about marriage and property and inheritance, and at that time I was getting better at reading classics, more patient with them. I mean, I had to, didn't I? And I've read all the Bronte books quite a few times since then, some more than others. So this 1967 Wuthering Heights, then, is a BBC production. Interestingly, it was produced and broadcast in colour, but only black and white copies survive. I think maybe some people would mind that in principle. I don't. In this case, however, I think it would be interesting to see the Heights and the Grange in colour. Black and white does make them look a bit similar, but never mind. Interestingly, as I was watching it, I found myself making comparisons to all four of the other adaptations that I looked at in my ranking video, like the 1978 BBC adaptation. It's full and faithful with a lot of detail, although it's not word for word, moment by moment like the 1978 adaptation. It's comparable to 1992 simply in that Kathy and Catherine, her daughter, are played by the same actress, in this case Angela Scowler, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Probably not. 1998, I remember I had a comment on how they changed their child actors for adults very quickly, but still the characters behave childishly. Same thing here in 1967. And as for 2009, this one messes up the not as a pleasure line in exactly the same way.
Not as a pleasure, but as my whole being.
And also, like 2009, Heathcliff has killed himself by clear, discernible means. Did I like it overall? Well, up to a point. I enjoyed Angela's performance as Kathy. I thought it was very strong, but I didn't realise how strong until Kathy was dead, and then I was rather bored by this production. Like Juliette Binoche in 1992, who played Kathy and Catherine, I felt that Angela got less out of that second role, even more than I feel that way about Juliette, because I actually found her quite underwhelming. She wasn't entertaining me any longer, and nobody else really stands out for me, but nobody else has to if you've got a strong Heathcliff. Now, I know that Ian McShane has a lot of fans. I've seen praise for him as Heathcliff. People have different tastes, and I don't want to upset anybody. I found Ian McShane boring and lackluster as Heathcliff. I guess he was going for understated, and a lot of the time I like understated. With Heathcliff, I don't. Ralph Fiennes in 1992 was going for understated. Have I said understated too much now? Anyway, I got that. It wasn't to my taste, but I could see what he was doing. With Ian McShane, I'm afraid I couldn't. I think that this is lackluster.
I pray one prayer. Catherine Earnshaw, may you not rest as long as I am living.
So, as this is a PS to my ranking video, what does that add up to? Where would this come in my ranking? When I started watching, I was thinking probably quite high, maybe even second, because it has time to go into all this detail. However, once I became bored by the second half, I started to think maybe it's going to have to go bottom, because I haven't been actually bored by any of the others. So let's say that, shall we? It ranks 5 of 5 for me personally in all the full Wuthering Heights adaptations that I am now aware of. Thank you for watching and goodbye. The TV movie Jane Eyre with Samantha Morton in 1977. And I seem to remember I tried,